Where the Buffalo Roam.
Yeah, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this. You watched it. I appreciate that. I just thought Murray was hilarious. I actually imitated his performance of Hunter S. Thompson, because I don't know who Hunter S. Thompson was when I watched it. And then I read about him afterwards.
Knowing about him though.
Did you really?
Yeah, just because like when I was in high school, I watched Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
That movie is fucking insane.
Well, he was kind of like that, but
that movie takes it to another level.
Well, is there a part?
Can I just say, I honestly thought it disturbed my brain after watching it. Like the drug sequences from that movie. Yeah. As 14-year-old me, I was like, I feel weird.
I only watched part of it because in the part that I was watching was Peter Boyle. He was
in the Buffalo, where the Buffalo.
What was that character's name? Because he was. Well, what was he? He was
the lawyer guy.
The lawyer. Okay.
The guy who's
lawyer. But
Benicio
some people say
Del Toro plays in Fear and Loathing.
Oh, Del Toro. Was he in a bathtub in a scene in his own?
In which one?
Shit.
In
Fear and Loathing. I swear to God, he was when I saw that.
I don't know about his own poop.
Okay, maybe.
I could be just forgetting that part. Yeah. I think there's bathtub scenes where they're like just yacked out of their gourd and.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't all he was. I mean he was high a lot, and he did some crazy stuff when he was. But it sounds like they overdid it with that, like that he just did drugs.
Yeah, I don't know him enough to know if.
Well, I don't either. I mean, I know him a little more than you do, probably, because I think I read a book about him or something.
I want to read Fear and Loathing and
crazy, like I don't know. Go ahead.
So there's like a huge poster. I mean, if like kids close to my age, it's like a college poster.
I know,
because he lists all the drugs he's taking, and I am assuming that's ripped right out of the book, and I think that's why he gets that rap, because it's like, I mean, that, you know, in his writings he wrote about all the he had a briefcase full of drugs.
He smoked a pipe in your version, because in Where the Buffalo Roam, he had a pipe in all the time, and it, you know, that he talked funny because he always had a pipe in.
Well, you know, he would have the cigarette filter with the cigarette in it the majority of the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Then that's the look. Like, if anyone was like, hey, dress up like Hunter S. Thompson, it would be like a hat, shades, the filter, a cigarette, probably a Hawaiian shirt, and like cargo shorts. And like, you got it nailed. Yeah, and
well, what did you think of it?
It was good. It covers more ground, which like I like.
Right.
And the anecdotes were interesting. There was humor, but I don't know. I think I was just expecting more because it had such a tough comparison. Terry Gilliam he's the guy who did Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and he is
he Monty Python?
I believe so. Yeah, okay. And he also did another movie called Brazil, and that's supposed to be like off the fucking wall, insane. And that is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I mean, that movie is fucking insane. Like it visually captures everything. This movie felt like, let's act out these stories that were told to us. There was something. There was a disconnect.
It's almost like skits or almost.
Yeah, kind of like that. You know, like
It was Bill Murray, which at the time, you know, he killed himself. Did you know that, Hunter S. Thompson? He shot himself with a shotgun, and I think part of the reason he did that was because a very famous writer did the same thing.
Not Hemingway.
Yeah, Hemingway.
Was it?
I believe Hemingway killed himself like that. He shot himself.
He loved Hemingway, I think.
Did he? Okay.
And I guess Hemingway was very
influential.
Well, not that, but he was I don't know if morose is the right word, but the way he spoke of death was kind of like
And that would, it's
like okay, well, it's got it. Yeah, very cynical. I think
he did the same thing. He killed himself. He shot himself. They called him something. Poppy
don't say the K yourself. Don't say the whole word anymore. I gotta cut it out every time.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forget.
It's hey.
No, I know.
I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the system. I think you should be able to say.
Well, I mean, we're not doing like.
And I think Hunter S. Thompson would agree that you should be able to say.
Oh, believe me, he did. Do you ever heard? You've heard of Gonzo? That was his journalism type. That was actually a bad thing. Because what it is, it's just he interpreted events. He didn't report on them, you know?
So it could be wildly stretching the truth.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, just his opinion was 75% of what actually happened. I believe that's what Gonzo journalism is.
That is something that this film and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas capture really well, is even the way he spoke. It was captivating in the weirdest way. That rhythm of speaking makes
I think that was a big part of why I liked that movie. It was just something about the way he spoke. How it sounded.
And if you read his writing and his words, it's like enthralling. Because it's like it kind of reminds me, do you remember when George was telling the great whale speech?
Yeah.
It's like the seas were angry that day, my friend. Like that is kind of what it is. He's a great storyteller, and he just the metaphors and analogies. He's talking about the Super Bowl, and he's making it sound like he's like there's federal men trading ties with one another to see will they influence the big game the way that they did the election. And then I mean, his hatred of Nixon is very prevalent. And I guess even Bill Murray had felt that way, too. And I said this to you previously. They knew each other. Like, they were at least acquaintances.
Yeah, I did not. Thompson. That really... I mean, I guess it doesn't really surprise me. It's just I wonder how... Because he was nuts. I mean, he was a good writer, I think. But he was insane.
He seems normal when he's being interviewed.
Well,
he definitely talks weird.
Yeah, he talks weird. I shouldn't say. But I think it was high so much.
Well, when he's being interviewed, he really doesn't... He seems coherent. He doesn't seem like he's blasted.
Well,
the way, they...
Did he fly? Well, I know... Well, in Buffalo Room, he flew a plane, right?
Yeah, they made it sound like everyone flew... Because it was like the crew plane.
Yeah.
So you have the reporters and then all their... Like their lighting people, their boom guys. That plane, they called it the zoo, and they just made it seem like everyone took a turn.
Like driving a car. Like driving a bus.
Okay, you got 45 minutes.
Damn it, I hate flying.
But if this is real, this is pretty freaking awesome. Is that he like swapped spots with a Washington Post guy.
Yeah, I remember that.
Allowed him access with Nixon. And I think so the reason I knew about Murray knowing S. Thompson was from a Joe Rogan podcast excerpt. I think he said on there that Thompson was actually given time to talk with Nixon. They said, you don't talk about politics. We'll let you speak with him, but you can't talk about politics.
Okay.
It was either him or I don't know. They were talking about how Elvis met Nixon too, I think. But
I think said Elvis Thompson was really drunk when he did that.
He's probably on like heavy duty painkillers because that's what did him in.
Yeah, he was on the bathroom.
Which is that shit constipates you really bad.
Yeah. How would you know that though?
People talk about it.
Well, I've never heard anybody talk about it. How do you know that? All right, so you didn't like that. So.
I did.
No,
I gave it a 3 out of 5. A 3 is good, and it's still like, but a 3...
It's like a 4, but less, right?
A 3 I don't recommend to people. Well, I sort of do, but it's a soft recommendation. I have to know, if you're like, I like Hunter S. Thompson, I would say, hey...
Fear and Loathing.
In this, too. But if you're like...
I don't know who he is.
Yeah, if I don't know who I'm recommending for, like I'll give you like maybe a 5 to a 4. Those are like safety.
Yeah. All right, so you made your point.
Best actor. Do you have any?
In that movie?
Yeah, I think you have limited.
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
he's the only one.
But honestly, in Fear and Loathing,
Peter Boyle was in that. Okay,
you could give it to Benicio. In that,
well, Benicio's in Fear and Loathing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. In this, I don't know if you could give it to Peter Boyle, and I love him. I'm a big fan of him in Young Frankenstein. He's amazing in Everybody Loves Raymond. But, does he elevate that character as much as Benicio does?
Well, I didn't. Yeah. That's a hard. I didn't see both of them.
Go ahead, my friend.
It's one little thing about
Peter Boyle.
Where the Buffalo Roam. No, Where the Buffalo Roam. No, was there a scene in there where there was a kid who got caught with pot?
Yeah.
And he got a real big sentence.
So you know what? Peter Boyle actually does do really well.
Well, aside from that.
That was a good scene, though.
Yeah. But just to show you how the times have changed, what was the sentence? Do you happen to remember?
5 years.
Okay, so compare that.
Second offense.
It was in Texas, right?
I thought it was in California.
It might be. So, well, in real life in Texas, there was this case where this kid got this, like 20 years for like a gram. But anyway, compare that to now where states are selling pot for much stronger pot for recreational use. And as far as medicinal use, basically you can say my elbow hurts sometimes and get it.
Like, thinking of my back makes me have pain.
It helps with anxiety. Well, it's like anybody can say, do you have anxiety? Yeah, okay, I can give you the card. So it's essentially like recreational use, even where it's not,
Yeah, considered, where it's still medicinal. And that's how it was in California when they were one of the few medicinal states, is it's like candy, you know. What I will say, and I don't know if you can 100% attribute this to Nixon, but he was one of the people, from what I understand, who really, really was trying to throw water on the whole hippie movement by class 3ing all those drugs, all the psychedelics. And I think weed was, unfortunately, it's very much linked to the hippie movement too. As much as acid.
Yeah, they didn't. It wasn't just him, definitely him, but because they didn't know
what the long-term effects.
Well, not of the drugs, of the hippie movement.
Yeah, where would that take
us? Because you should do some reading on that, and our listeners should too, because there was something called the Weather Underground. Okay.
Was that how LSD was being manufactured?
No, the Weather Underground they were terrorists. Okay. Ooh. They were domestic terrorists, and I don't know what organization. It may have been them who talked about a revolution, and they talked about re-education. And
so they were very communist.
Oh yeah. And someone said, because a guy named Bill Ayers, he was in the news back around Obama because he was his neighbor, was in the Weather Underground, and he did an undercover FBI agent got into the Weather Underground, and he heard discussions, and they said, well, what about the people we can't re-educate? And he said,
kill them.
Yeah.
Which is how most revolutions, playbooks, violent revolutions.
Well,
all communist regimes.
Yeah. They didn't have any arms or anything like that, but that was their ideology. And Bill Ayers was arrested and got off on a technicality because he did, they bombed something, or they didn't do a lot of things like that. How did I get on that subject anyway?
Well, we were talking about throwing water on the hippie movement.
Right. Well, because there was and they were probably pretty sure, probably knew that was going on. That there were violent elements within the hippie movement. Most of it was not.
Thinking is how a Fed catches operations like that? They start operations like that.
That's happened. I understand that.
Well, a lot more nowadays. Maybe not back then, but
no. I know that they trump up, but there were.
Look at the Manson family, dude.
I just watched that Chaos. It's on thing. Did you see it?
Is it?
Yeah, it's on.
You read the book too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know how much of it is true. A lot of it does kind of sound true.
The dude was reporting. on that for 20 years. They gave
Yeah.
when the story broke, they're like, "Hey, we want you to write a column on this."
Yeah.
And he just kept discovering more, and he's like, "The
He
story's
tied it
not
back
done
to
yet."
MK Ultra, right? Did you know that?
Something like I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, because they thought it was federal, like that they made Haight-Ashbury the ground zero of let's see
Experimenting with LSD, what you could do for mind control.
Yeah, and apparently, and I think this works into I think it's Project something about Wormwood, where CIA agents, they were, how can we use LSD? So they would drug each other a lot with LSD just to.
Well, that's the guy who jumped out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
he was a scientist, I believe.
And the son is he had it was completely unprompted.
Yeah.
Like he didn't just get in a fight, he was just in his hotel with his wife and decides taking the the fast elevator to the
ground floor.
But yeah, I mean, it really does seem like there
was a lot of Cold War stuff because we didn't know because they were trying to do it.
Did we ever use it?
Huh?
Did we ever use it in a beneficial
no, but not
way?
everything that you try to develop is going to work.
I know, but you don't use civilians as tests.
Well, no, you don't. But sometimes when you're fighting, I mean, if you think we did dirty stuff,
if you do it to the Russians, I don't care.
Well, they had to figure out if it worked. They tried something called remote viewing. Did you ever hear of that?
Isn't that when you sleep?
No, it's certain people. I don't think it's true.
Project.
Kind of, yeah. They can see things happening in another part of the world,
which is kind of like imagination.
It's like, this is what he saw, and I saw this. They drew this one picture. I look like a 4-year-old truly. It's supposed to be a submarine base somewhere.
He's like, it's in the ocean.
It's wet.
I saw it.
It's wet. What do you mean by that? That's all I saw. That's all I could see.
I saw the bottom of the ocean, guys. It's dark.
All right, so you've
done your. After talking about it, I like it a little bit more, but as it stands, I gave it a 3.
That's all right.
Which isn't bad, but, and I've said it so many times, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is a must-watch if you want something on her.
I might watch that. Because
if you do, let me know, as I'll watch it again.